So, what we're looking at here is the latest installment on Jerome Rothenberg's blog, Poetry and Poetics. And this is the image accompanying a text. And I've known the Rothenbergs for a long time, over 40 years, probably closer to something like 44 years. And it's a bit difficult for me to express how annoyed I am with this particular presentation. And one of the reasons, I guess, for the annoyance is the way that this particular image is presented. And I'll talk about my relationship to this fascist president, Donald Trump, and my extended efforts to get rid of him, both in the office of presidency and as a potential candidate for future president. And one of those efforts was successful, but I'm very much afraid that the other effort failed, meaning that that in spite of all of his actions that should have disqualified him for running for president again, Congress and the Supreme Court, and other institutions of our government have failed us so horrendously that I don't believe that there'll be any attempt to stop this this monstrosity from running for presidency in 2024. And I also fear, with the growing rise of fascism in the United States, that he very likely could win that race. And at this point, I honestly don't know what I will do if that happens. My wife Lori and I have talked about that possibility, and expatriation is the obvious answer to a situation in which one's country has failed one so miserably that one doesn't feel that one belongs to it anymore or has an obligation to remain within it. And what disturbs me about well, let me talk about my efforts in the 2020 presidential election. For a period of at least 2 years, I maintained a number of social media sites, and every day I got up, usually early in the morning, sometimes as early as midnight, sometimes much later, but never hardly later than 5 o'clock. And I read the news. And I put a barrage of political art and material on the web every day for a period, like I said, about 10 years. And, obviously none of it, I didn't receive any kind of financial compensation for any of it. That wasn't really, the motivation. And, but it was an awful lot of work. And because of the nature of the information, I received, harassment phone calls, and more than once, my social media sites were removed, and I had to, reestablish them, and I had trespassers on my property. I was physically assaulted. It goes on and on and on. But it was a lot of work, and it was ongoing. And then at some point, I think at some point in 2019, I had a meeting with Jerry and Matthew, Jerry Jerome Rothenberg's son, and I tried to express some of my concerns and offer strategies for a project that involved direct and indirect political courses of action and art making that would assist in the removal of this president. And the response, was, somewhat, blasé. And the blasé response, didn't necessarily reflect everything, that Jerry felt about this project, but it reflected, in part, a sense of it being out of the artist or poet's hands, and when finally Trump was defeated, it would have been nice to feel like one could celebrate, but then after the January 6ers attempted what basically amounts to a fascist insurrection, supported largely by the conservative elements of both the House of Representatives and the Senate, as well as in part the apparatus of federal legal branches of the government. It was a little bit difficult, to celebrate the defeat, because even in the defeat, the defeat was never really recognized and acknowledged, and so one, feels like one has to continue to struggle, and this is a very difficult thing. So, having gone, through all of this and spent so much time and effort, to accomplish this, and focusing, mainly on those swing states like Georgia and like Arizona, and because that's where, the action and the fulcrum, the weight of the effort lies, right? And, then to receive, this image, a bit late, right? and what makes it worse is this, of all of Jerry's, work that is publicly presented and available on evil Jeff Bezos's Amazon.com. This is not one of them. So the text reads, the struggle to get rid of the president is public, right? All political action is performed in the public sphere. And yet the text reads, yesterday, October 24, I arranged and participated in a launch, reading, and gift event focused on a new book of my poems, In the Shadow of a Mad King Lies, printed privately and beautifully adorned with full-color illustrations as above by Sadie Rothenberg. The small 8-poem artist book was designed by us to be distributed completely out of commerce to any and all who might desire a copy. So, this one text that might, most benefit a public display in the right time, in the right hands, in the right scale, right, is produced in this small and private press version that, you know, effectively, right, completely nullifies like the political consequences of the work. So turns what could potentially have been an effective political action into a self-congratulatory completion of an art project. And I find it infuriating in a certain way, because I know that if Trump runs again in 2024, I'm going to have to go through exactly the same thing that I went through in 2020, and that it'll be just as ugly or more ugly even than it was before. So if I had, you know, if my neighbors in Julian were drawing swastikas on the road, and at that time, you know, I can only imagine what might be done in 2024. And you know, I'm sure that Jerry doesn't pay any attention to what I do at this point anymore. But if he does, you know, I would hope that the message, you know, could resound a bit, and that the call for more effective political action and struggle against something of this nature, so important. If there's an illusion, you know, that this won't be a repeat performance, you know, I would just call attention to the fact that no one believed that this monster could be elected in the first place. And it seems to me very, very possible that a repeat performance could occur. And even if, this is the important thing to understand, even if he doesn't actually win the election, there may still be, right, violent consequences to the defeat itself. And there's every reason to make this struggle public and big, and to put it into circulation completely in commerce to any and all who may desire to participate in that struggle. So I'm sure it's a very beautiful book.